My presentation will be more about the reasons for emotional burnout of lawyers and about the major stress factors in legal careers. So, and it's very interesting that we've seen now the results of this survey, because I will be sharing with you some results we had in previous years about the burnout, and we can actually compare what has changed. So a couple of words about me, just for you to know who I am and why I'm talking on this topic. I am a lawyer as well. So, and I think I always will be, because there cannot be former lawyers, you know. So I worked for more than 17 years in legal profession, first in legal consulting, in companies like Ernst & Young, EY Law, DLA Piper, and Deloitte, legal arm of Deloitte. I was a partner at Deloitte, leading legal practice in St. Petersburg in Russia. And then for more than 5 years, I worked as an in-house legal director in Eastern Europe at Accenture. The truth is that it was around 4 years ago, so I was completely burned out. So I was one of these lawyers, top lawyers, with great career, who was absolutely burned out, and I had to find a way out. So, and actually for me, coaching worked very well. And when I found a way out for myself, and I got out of this stress and burnout, I also found a new occupation, actually. So for the last 4 years, I've been working as a coach, and my major clients are lawyers, partners of law firms, legal directors, top executives, business owners. So I'm actually working a lot with the consulting companies. I wrote 2 books over the last years, and one of them is called Upshifting, a step-by-step guide on changing your life if you've lost yourself in the routine. And at the end of my session, I will actually present this book to all of you, because there's a lot of stress management techniques for you there. And the second one is the guide on sales for lawyers and law firms, because I know that for lawyers in consulting, a lot of stress and a lot of burnout comes out on sales efforts, because you need to sell, not only do your legal stuff, but also finding clients and selling. This is always a big, big problem for lawyers. So, I will also start with some survey findings. And there were a couple of surveys made by 2 magazines in Russia. First one was Legal Insight, and the second one was Platform. The results, so the results are mainly concerning Russian lawyers, but I'm sure all those lawyers who are who connected to our session today from throughout the world will also recognize themselves in these findings. So let's see what lawyers were talking about the reasons for the burnout before the pandemic. So 69% of lawyers experience high level of stress. Okay, so 70% of lawyers. 76% of lawyers are extremely irritable because of stress. It means that the stress and burnout actually changes our character and how we interact with other people. 60% of lawyers feel burned out. 44% of lawyers feel apathy. 45% of lawyers feel depressed. 26% of lawyers use alcohol as the main tool for stress management. And this is very much consistent with the figures we have for the lawyers throughout the world. Between 20 and 25% of lawyers actually are using alcohol a lot or have an alcohol abuse. 34% of lawyers do not manage their stress at all. So it means that they do not have necessary techniques and necessary tools and instruments to do so. 70% of lawyers noted that there is more work than time off in their life. So lawyers do work a lot. I'm pretty sure you all know it very well. 53% of lawyers spend not less than half of their time on routine tasks every day. So it means that every second lawyer actually is doing every day just the routine stuff. That is not very exciting. So this is one of the reasons for the burnout. 46% of lawyers, almost half of lawyers, are not able to do every day what they're good at their work and what they're interested in their work. 65% of lawyers do not have clarity about their career path and opportunities. 34% noted that their managers do not communicate with them on this subject at all. So 1/3 of lawyers actually do not understand what is their career perspectives. Only 50% of lawyers stated that they have the desire and the ability to develop within the current employer. Again, this was pre-COVID. Now things might have changed. The last figure is really astonishing, but it was published in the Российская газета, Russian newspaper, one of the major editions in Russia. 59% of lawyers are considering change of their profession. Again, this was last year. So let's see what are the major stress-inducing factors in lawyers' work. In other words, why are lawyers so stressed and what we can do about it? After analyzing all this data and all these figures, and also after working with literally thousands of lawyers in personal coaching, I have summarized the following major stress-inducing factors. First of all, it's very simple: lack of work-life balance. So as we've seen, lawyers are very much focused on work. They do work more than actually a lot of other professions. So, lawyers need to be always accessible. They need to always respond to their client needs during the weekends, during holidays, and so on and so forth. One of the things that has changed with COVID, and I'm sure you all noticed it as well, is that there is no more borderline between work and not work, between work and home. Because now all of us, we have home offices. And actually, previously, lawyers were working long hours, but at least they were in the office. But when they left the office, our brain had a signal that the working day is over. Now I can switch to my family, to my hobbies, to gym, or to some interests. It's not the case anymore. So now the problem is that people who work with home offices, who work remotely, they tend to work longer hours because they just cannot stop. So this is one of the bad consequences, negative consequences of the pandemic. So it's constant time pressure, tough deadlines, working 24/7. This is specific to legal profession. Not all professions work like that. But again, we have to work like that because our clients demand us so, and because it's the tradition. So there are a lot of traditions in the legal profession, and it's a tradition that lawyers must work a lot. If you are a lawyer and you're not overworked, and if you're not working a lot, especially if you are in a law firm, you are considered as probably not a good lawyer or not very engaged lawyer, you know? So it's a big scandal if you just, you know, stand up and go home at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. So that's why there are a lot of traditions that I would say come from the 20th century and are a little bit outdated in our profession. So the third thing is constant work with negativity and focus on risks. So lawyers do not work with, you know, kids, kittens, pink unicorns and flamingos. You know, we're not working with creating advertisements or stuff with marketing campaigns. So we are working with problems. So that's why lawyers tend to, every day, they tend to see problems. So, and very often the life of a lawyer turns out to be as one big problem, you know? So the lawyers just get used to treating life as solving the problem. So, but life is not always a problem. There are always good things in life as well. But good lawyers are trained to notice risks. They're trained to notice what might go wrong. They're trained to notice suspicious things. So that's why, colleagues, let's be very frank, we lawyers in general do not trust each other a lot, and they do not trust, unfortunately, I've seen it, they do not trust other people as well, you know? So because our profession, I would say, demand us to doubt a lot. So perfectionism, fear of making a mistake. So there were a lot of research done on the psychotype of lawyers, you know, a psychological research mainly done in the US and UK. And the research shows that there is a specific type that the majority of lawyers have. And this is perfectionism and fear of making a mistake, because lawyers are trained not to do mistakes. You know, mistakes are not tolerated in legal profession. So lawyers have to be very careful, very cautious, very attentive not to make mistakes. So this is why it's one of the major stress factors for lawyers. So because we always make mistakes, we're all people, we're not robots, you know, even robots make mistakes. Once I got a wrong amount of cash from an ATM, you know, even ATM makes mistakes. But there is a perception that lawyers never make mistakes, and they're, I would say, punished by their clients or by their superiors, by the business people in their organizations if there is a mistake coming from a legal department. Hyper control. Again, this is something specific to our psychological type and to our profession. So lawyers tend to, I would say, trying to control as much things as possible, because legal profession itself, its aim is to try to make a system, try to make something understandable out of the chaos that is happening in the outer world. So, but again, we cannot control everything. And lawyers try to put all sorts of, you know, I would say representations, covenants, you know, waivers in the contract, but still things sometimes go wrong. And if it's not in the contract, then our business clients will come to us and say, hey, why didn't you foresee? Okay, why didn't you put it in the contract? So lawyers really suffer a lot from this hyper control. Highly competitive environment, desire to win at any cost. So this also adds stress, because legal profession is a competitive profession, especially if you are a litigator. So you either win or you lose. It's not very often that we have a win-win situation in courts, you know. So, and also there is a lot of competition in law firms. You have to compete with your friends, you have to compete with your colleagues, especially if you want to get promoted, you know, because there is only one partner position available and there are 10 lawyers who want to be a partner, you know. So that's why you have to compete every day, every day, every day. Lack of gratitude from clients. So as you see, their line in the complaints window is much longer than line in the thank you gratitude window. So because the clients do not very often understand what we're doing, but the bills from lawyers are very high, and there are no clients who are happy about the bills from their lawyers, you know. So this is why very often, instead of thank you from our clients, we get their complaints about high bills, or saying that, look guys, we don't understand what you're doing at all. So why is it taking so long? You're a bad lawyer, and so on and so forth. So unfortunately, we have to live in the situation when we don't get gratitude for what we do. Feelings of uselessness, not making a difference. This is very specific to lawyers working in corporations as in-house legal. So I have seen this many times when kind of the lawyers are so far from the end of this chain that they don't really understand what their work, how their work changes the world, you know? So if it makes other people happy. So they're working a lot, but they really don't see the difference. And at some point of time, especially if during the midlife crisis, people start asking themselves questions. Okay, what am I doing? I'm earning a lot of money, a lot of cash, but I'm not happy because there's not much sense in what I'm doing. I mean, I don't see any difference in the world. The second thing, feeling powerless in the face of the state system, is specific to countries like Russia, like Belarus, you know, like some of the CIS countries, where lawyers, especially, you know, legal counsels, advocates, attorneys, they feel that they cannot change anything in the face of the, you know, police bodies or courts or prosecutors' offices, you know. So this is also one of the very important things that adds suffering to lawyers. And finally, it's overly serious, lack of hobbies or time for themselves. You know, a lot of lawyers start to look like this guy on the picture. So they're very serious, especially by the age they are 40. So we really need to relax a little bit and, you know, to spend more time on ourselves, to have hobbies. It's crucial for us to have more interests outside of work, because as we have seen, work occupies so much of our time, we just don't have any time for anything else. A couple of final slides here. Choosing the profession because it pays well or is considered prestigious. Again, global research shows that 70% of lawyers are in their profession because they want to earn a lot of money, not because they want to help other people. Only 30% of lawyers are in the professions, 1/3, because they really want to make a difference and help other people. I can show, if you're interested, I can send you the links to this research. It's in a book called Lawyer Know Thyself. Psychological incompatibility with their profession. So some of the lawyers are in their profession because of their parents, because they just, there were no other options when they were choosing their profession at the age of 16 or 17, because of the coincidence or something. So, but let's be frank, legal profession is not for everyone. It's only for highly stress resistant people, you know. So sometimes it happens that the lawyers are overstressed because this profession is simply too stressful for them. So some professions are really more stressful than others. And finally, fear of seeming weak, unwillingness to acknowledge having a problem and ask for help so as not to hurt their reputation. So lawyers need to show their muscles all the time. They need to show that they're always right, that they know the answers to everything. So that is what, to lose the face for a lawyer is a tragedy. You know, that's why lawyers don't go to psychologists, they don't go to coaches. They prefer to work on their stress by themselves, very often with alcohol, unfortunately, as we have seen. Consequences for lawyers: stress, emotional burnout, anxiety, and depression, which are actually the #1 illnesses, sicknesses now in the world, as by the data of the International Health Organization, alcohol abuse and other various abuses. So, and just a couple of words on emotional burnout. I know that Anna, who will be speaking after me, she will give you all the details on what it is, but I just want to say that the burnout is actually a consequence of chronic professional and interpersonal stress. So it's a state of emotional and mental exhaustion resulting in apathy, also feeling fatigue arising from chronic stress at work. So it's called accumulated stress of professionals. So, and you might go well in your profession for 10 or 15 years, but unfortunately in 10 or 15 years, it has the accumulated effect and you might get burned out. It's not a tragedy. It's not a tragedy. A lot of people get burned out. So statistics say that at least once every person burns out during their lifetime. So we need to know how to work with it. And finally, 2 common reasons for a burnout, as I actually put them, is first, lacking sense and meaning in your work. So in other words, you don't know what you're doing, and you're sometimes occupying a wrong position. So if you really love what you're doing, then you are not in the risk zone for the burnout. And the second is you never developed your emotional intelligence and do not use stress management practices. So one of the reasons we're making this seminar today is to give you these stress management practices so that you can use them. So when we're not managing stress, we're inefficient. And a quote from Hans Selye, a person who actually studied stress for his whole life: do not fear stress. To be totally without stress is to be dead. You must manage stress. You know, manage stress is the spice of life. So this was the final slide. I wrote a book, as I said, it's called Upshifting. And if you text me word stress in any social network, here I'm actually on every social network as Yury Zachek, I will be happy to send you a PDF of my book. I'm sorry it is only in Russian, but I know there are a lot of Russian speakers here. So please take care of yourselves and stay safe and stay, I would say, relaxed and not stressed.